best of us. Nothing's gonna ever keep it down.
What up, players? It's the morning after with Nick and Big J. Welcome to Thursday, 9th day of January 2025. My name is Nick. There's Big J right over there.
Yep.
What up, Big J? How are you, pal?
I'm great, man. Can I share a funny story? I've been waiting I can't wait to tell you this story.
Okay.
So I'm sitting at home after a day afternoon yesterday with my kid. We're, I think, watching some mundane TV. The wife was out running some errands, and she comes home, and she comes walking through the door, and immediately she looks at me, and she goes, "Hey, did you know Adam Sandler is filming a movie here in town?" And I go, "What? No. Where did you hear this?" And I was about to text Craig Gass and be like, "Hey, Adam Sandler's in town."
Oh, no.
And then all of a sudden it hit me. Oh, wait. Craig was going to be on with Adam. And so the wife is like, "Yeah." And Tom Arnold was on. And I just look at her and I go, "Oh, my God."
I believe Tracy Morgan talked about shooting a porno as well in town. Yeah.
And Mason started to look at her like, "Are you crazy, lady?" Like, she just completely went over her head that Craig Gass is in town.
Yeah.
Because she's got to work, so she can't come. But she fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
Wonderful. We once again, I'll take this opportunity to remind you that very rare will we ever get breaking actual news on this radio station. So take anything you hear on this station with a grain of salt, especially if it's coming from the likes of a guest on the show that is of a high celebritydom that you don't think would ever be on the show. And also anything Ian says should also automatically be dismissed and not taken for as fact in any way, shape, or form.
But I just couldn't believe that she got it. She's like, "I can't believe how he can go back and forth so quickly." And I'm like, "That's what he does. He's brilliant at it."
He is a talented comedian. Yeah.
Just got my wife good yesterday afternoon.
It happens to the best of us. Everybody falls for one every now and again. We've talked before about how, you lose yourself sometimes on April Fool's Day, and then you think, "Oh, man, I can't believe I fell for that." It happens. But don't feel bad.
I just wish everyone could see the looks on our faces when she said that. And I'm like, "What?" Because at first I was like, you never know. I mean, celebrities are here all the time. But I just didn't put it together and forgot that he was going to be on with Adam. And then it clicked when she mentioned Tom Arnold.
Could you see the disappointment in her face when she realized?
She was so upset. Yeah, she was she couldn't believe it. And I felt bad for you. I'm like, I have to tell the story. I can't not. That's
what Craig Gass does. He upsets people when they realize that they have been pranked.
I can't wait to yell at him tomorrow.
It is hilarious.
Yep.
Craig Gass will be back on the show tomorrow. Today you're stuck with little old us, as Big J will give you a nerd alert today. We have tickets to give away. We also have to get somebody qualified, several people actually, for Free Gas Friday. We're going to give away $200 in free gas tomorrow. So you're going to want to be on the fun for that. We also have We're Going to Hell and all sorts of other cool things, including some music. Let's get started with The Offspring here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J on the X.
Spanning the globe in search of news. Important stuff.
Launch newsfeed.
On the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Always nice when we can follow things up with good news, Big J. You're familiar with the Boise Albertsons Open, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Been going on for years, and one of the big selling points for the Boise Open is so much money is raised for charity, dude. And yesterday was the day that they presented the check and the major donations from the Boise Open. Over $250,000 distributed yesterday. The funds raised from ticket sales during the 35th annual tournament held in August were distributed as part of a yearly tradition that highlights the event's commitment to giving back to Idaho. Charities were pretty happy to get some money, Big J. Make-A-Wish Foundation of Idaho received about $56,000. That's pretty awesome. Disabled Americans Veterans of Idaho was awarded $37,000. Boys and Girls Club of Ada County received some money. First Tee of Idaho. And then the big winner was the Idaho Humane Society, received the largest check of $121,000.
They need it, man.
The Boise Open. So well done to all of those. We've spoken to the curators before, the people that organize the Albertsons Boise Open. Of course, they also put together some pretty big concerts in conjunction with that. We have teamed up with them over the years to have some really cool artists come through town as part of the Boise Open. Hopefully that trend continues. Always nice to see some great nonprofits here in the state collect some cash and some money that can help out a lot of great people and families and kids here in the Treasure Valley because of a golf tournament. So keep it up. Agree or disagree?
Totally agree. Yeah.
Thumbs up. Well done. Well played. Happy to help in any way we can, including by getting the word out. Big J, no matter who wins the college football playoff semifinal in the Orange Bowl between Penn State and Notre Dame, it will lead to history in the championship game on January 20th. Marcus Freeman and James Franklin are both African Americans, and so whoever advances to the championship will be the first black head coach in FBS history to do so. So a lot is on the line in this particular game, and lots of people are paying attention to it. Of course, we do have ourselves some interesting things happening in conjunction of that, and hopefully everything goes off as planned. We'll get into a lot of that stuff over the course of the show today, but we're heading into a pretty big football weekend. Agree or disagree, Big J?
Hell yeah, wild card weekend, baby. Woo!
Seeing what you saw out of Penn State against Boise State, do you think they have the upper hand against Notre Dame, or are you not counting out the Fighting Irish?
I don't know. I think both teams are playing pretty good.
Hot take.
I think it's going to be, well, some of them haven't played great in the playoffs.
Who?
Let's see, Georgia.
Well, they're not in it anymore.
Okay, I'm just telling you who hasn't played. Boise State.
I get it, but the teams that are left.
I'm just saying they're both playing really good ball, so I don't really have a... I guess I would prefer to see Penn State go on and win the championship. That would hurt a little less.
That way we could say we lost the eventual national champion?
It's always a nice...
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody's getting in the way of Ohio State, to be perfectly honest, though. But
I think if anybody can, it would be one of these two teams.
Well, we'll see if they have the opportunity, because Ohio State has to win their game too. So there's no guarantees come this weekend. We will see what it all happens. Plus, we got wild card weekend as well in the NFL. Big J, you brought up Tom Holland as part of Bad Impressions a couple days ago. He's back in the news, and nothing to do with Spider-Man. He is set to star as a lawyer in an upcoming film adaptation of the John Grisham novel, The Partner.
John Grisham?
You remember him?
Yeah.
The actor's also producing the movie. It's going to be written by Graham Moore, who also wrote The Imitation Game, and it follows a lawyer who steals about $90 million from a client, fakes his death, and escapes to Brazil. Sounds like Tom Holland's not playing a very nice guy, Big J. Is this the first time he's kind of played like a jerk? Somebody that steals something, like a criminal? Unless you count, Uncharted, which I guess he's not exactly, playing somebody that plays by the rules in that movie.
He's just a bartender explorer.
Yeah, that's going after, a bunch of stuff and, breaking and entering in a lot of situations.
I think he played kind of I forget the name of the movie, and I watched it for Streaming Dumbass. And
where he's the drug addict, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but he's not a drug addict with a heart of gold.
That's not a bad guy.
I
mean, he had some issues also. Okay. Some violence and going on. But this, I think, is for legit bad guy role.
Yes. Of course, John Grisham is a pretty big deal as well. He had a ton of success in the 90s with things like The Client, The Time to Kill, The Pelican Brief, The Chamber, Runaway Jury. This is the second one of his particular novels that's headed back to the big screen and the small screen. So the John Grisham, kind of resurrection is happening as well. Were you a fan back in the day?
I loved. I enjoyed most of those movies you just mentioned. So
never read any of the books though.
No.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, some of that stuff's up your alley.
Reading.
Morning After with Nick and Big J. There's your first round of important stuff. It is the X-Rock. Lincoln Park Heavy is the crown here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J. Of course, we are 9 days into the new year. We have talked several times on this show about how neither of us really get into the New Year's resolution game. Agree or disagree, Big J?
Yeah, no.
Or has that thought of yours changed over the years? We're well more than willing and able to change our minds.
No, I'm all right.
You still do the, you don't do the New Year's resolution?
No.
Is it because you don't believe in it, or is it because you feel like you can change anytime you want to if you want to make a change?
Yeah, you don't have to start at the beginning of the new year.
Yeah. Some people need excuses, and some people use that as motivation, and that's fine if that's you. Some people are also just not wired that way. Because I am not wired that way, I maybe I don't get the concept entirely. Is a New Year's resolution like a birthday wish, Big J? Whereas if you tell people about it, it will be less likely to come true?
I have no idea. I've never heard that concept before. But.
I haven't. I mean, I guess I didn't think about it that way until I saw the survey that said that Americans love telling other people about their resolution. About 45 to 57% of Americans will share with their friends and family their New Year's resolution, according to a survey of 20,000 adults. Here's where it gets weird, Big J. the more likely you are to share your resolution, the less likely you are to succeed at it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is weird because usually, you want some sort of like accountability, and when people know you're doing stuff and you're not following through, that's at least a strategy.
Or at very least, maybe you're like, at least I can speak it into truth. Maybe if I tell a bunch of people, hey, I'm going to start working out, or hey, listen, if you see me, drinking beer, you got to tell me, knock it off. I've told myself I'm going to stop drinking for my New Year's resolution. 33% will ask their kids for help in making their New Year's resolution come true. 42% will enlist the help of their spouse or partner. Anybody ever asked you to help with their New Year's resolution, Big J?
I suppose so.
But you're not going to be able to give me any examples.
I can't give you an exact example, no.
So I'm going to chalk that up as a no. Responders say it takes about 4 months to really, really determine if a New Year's resolution was successful, because a lot of these resolutions, that's the thing with them, they're big swings. Nobody says something like, I'm going to take something down a notch or two. It's always like, I'm going to work out every day for, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. That's my New Year's resolution. Or I'm going to read a whole bunch of books. That's my New Year's resolution. And it's difficult to really, truly kind of pass, fail, see the succeed rate right out the gate. You have to give it a little bit of time. But anywhere from 72 to 78% of people that share their New Year's resolution fail because they've shared it with somebody, which is strange. I don't know if it's one of those deals where you just like hope they forget about it, or when you speak it out, it's less internal. I'm not sure what it is. But there's nothing wrong, let me clarify, with having a New Year's resolution. If that's what motivates you to do something better, to be better, to do something different, to make a change that you feel is a positive one for you, resolution away. I don't care. There's nothing wrong with deciding the new year's the time for a new start and a fresh start or a fresh portion of yourself. But the key to having a successful resolution, Big J, is small, consistent changes and celebrating your progress and your wins as you go to keep yourself motivated both mentally and physically in order to keep whatever you've decided it to be, keep going. Unless your New Year's resolution is something like, I want to do more drugs in the new year. Then you got to be careful.
Yeah. Not great.
Not a lot of positivity involved in that particular world. So
I want to risk my life more.
Be careful. I want to do more of my own stunts. So watch yourself and maybe keep it to yourself if you wanted to truly be successful. And then share it once you are successful. 4 or 5 months in, go, look what I did. Check out what I can do. Look what changes I made. And see if maybe that helps things out a little bit. But whatever your resolution is, if you decided to make one, we wish you a lot of success in your journey. Agree or disagree, Big
Yeah,
J?
agreed.
Unless, again, it's a negative one. Then we want you to reevaluate your priorities. Morning After with Nick and Big J. Coming up in a few short minutes, Big J is going to give you a nerd alert. That's next on the X.
Nerds.
Nerd Talk.
The best in tech and gaming. Big J's Nerd Alert on 100.3 The X Rocks.
Yeah, Nick, we are right in the middle of CES 2025 happening in Las Vegas. It'll wrap up here this weekend, and there will be a ton of information that we'll have for you next week. But you can look forward to a lot of new robots stuff, Nick. We'll be flush with all kinds of robot news and TVs and AI things. So looking forward to that. But in the meantime, some things have kind of touched some of the gaming world here by CES 25, and that is that PUBG Battlegrounds will add a non-player characters powered by NVIDIA's Ace generative AI. Now, this is something that I never thought of. Usually when we think of the NPC, the non-player controlled aspect of it, it's usually just standbys. But these PUBG allies are being dubbed co-playable characters, and they can have real-time conversations with the player about what's happening in the match. So they can adapt their strategies and gameplay to work with the player's style. Kraft in the Battle Royale's publisher demoed that this technology at CES 2025, we will continue to innovate user experience by integrating CPC into our games and aim to establish it as a benchmark for the gaming industry. So that to me is something pretty cool. At some point, maybe you don't even have to have real friends to play with.
Yeah.
And they won't swear at you and call you dumb.
I guess I kind of like the way this is going, because one of the things that's always been a complaint of anybody that's played an actual game is if you're, you're on a team with people that are NPCs, usually you're doing a bulk of the work and they're not pulling
you have to tell them what to do and where to go.
Or they're just not pulling their weight. Like, they're not firing on enemies when they should be. And you're like, come on, man. And it'd be nice to see an upgrade in that particular world. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think the communicating with them is mind-blowing as well. So we'll see how that lands. Xbox is ringing in the new year by taking yet another step towards its promise of making everything an Xbox by announcing it will add the Xbox app to LG TVs later this year. In an Xbox Wire post, Xbox announced it is partnering with LG Electronics to bring the Xbox app to LG smart TVs in 2025. What that means is that Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will be able to play games across supported LG TVs without needing the console using cloud gaming tech. And yes, that includes Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So Xbox already implemented this feature on Samsung smart TVs back in 2022 and added Amazon Fire TV devices to the mix last year. With expansion to LG TVs, Xbox expands its TV presence even further. So this campaign using the slogan, "This is an Xbox," positions TVs, laptops, phones, consoles, and other devices that will allow you to play your game and make all that money you're paying for Ultimate Game Pass worthwhile. So look out for that. And, that means you also need to get yourself a good controller to attach to your TV.
You're an Xbox honk. Have you ever effed around with any of this?
No, mostly because my Wi-Fi network isn't, half of our stuff is hardwired and the other half is on Wi-Fi, and it doesn't mesh well. It all needs to be one concurrent thing, so I haven't really gotten into that, mostly because I have a space that I use for that purpose. So I don't need to play it somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I get it.
But I could see the applications being necessary and could come in handy if you didn't have that opportunity. So look for that in LG TVs. Meta is expanding its Facebook Marketplace to include eBay listings, Nick.
Finally.
A test will launch in the U.S., France, and Germany, allowing users to browse eBay offerings on Marketplace. Sellers on eBay can list products as usual, and as long as your account is in good standing, your listings could appear on any of those partners, including Facebook Marketplace, based on user interest, shopping trends, and listing quality. So eBay states the company will continue to handle all product inquiries and transactions. Now, part of this isn't just Meta trying to be more open. The European Union is forcing them to do this as they feel like we're not being a fair marketplace in that. And I don't use Facebook Marketplace a lot. Do you?
I have, yes. I've used it a ton.
Yeah, so adding in more opportunities for other products from eBay seems like it could be a good thing for everybody.
See, I disagree. Now, hot take, but one of the things I enjoyed about Facebook Marketplace was I knew when I went there, it was local people that I was dealing with that I could go and pick up and get something immediately if I was looking for something or if I needed something. I enjoyed the locality of it. The reason why I've kind of waned off of Facebook Marketplace over the last couple of months and years is every time I went there, I'm like, I don't need to see things that get shipped to me. This is not what I'm going on Facebook Marketplace for. I'll go someplace else if I want something that I can't currently get or is in my radius that I can, kind of set something up to check out if I need something. If I'm just getting eBay listings and Amazon listings, then what that to me takes away what I thought was a interesting tool of Facebook Marketplace. Was everything
you'll still have
was local.
that.
I get it, but you'll have to weed through all the other BS to get to it.
Well, there's a lot of unlocal things in Marketplace.
Well, that's exactly my complaint. You have echoed exactly what I said.
I didn't ever see that there was it was all pure local.
It was for a very long time at the very beginning. Well, not even the very beginning of it. For the first couple years of it, it was just local stuff. And then it has more recently and even more overwhelmingly become just this is where bleep is instead of local people trying to sell stuff. Now you got to go to particular pages for that kind of thing. And it's a whole other pain in the ass.
Look out.
Yep. I don't join any of those pages.
However, as somebody who has an eBay store, it's nice to be able to expand
I'm
the
sure
horizons.
you're right. It does supplement your income, yes.
So when these all take into effect here pretty soon, you'll be seeing that on your Meta Marketplace as well. So there's your Nerd Alert.
Thank you. Morning After with Nick and Big J coming up in a few minutes. Some important stuff as well as We're Going to Hell. It's next on the X.
Important stuff.
Launch newsfeed.
On the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Big J, it certainly is winter. Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
And that means that we are getting into winter mode, which means almost half of us here in the United States are going to hibernate at some point this winter, especially now that the holidays are over, according to a brand new survey. Basically, we want to kind of just, I don't know, cuddle up and just stay inside, Big J. It's too cold outside.
Get cozy.
Maybe work on other aspects of ourselves, like our financial literacy. Maybe we don't know necessarily enough about the world of finance and we want to educate ourselves a little bit more about it. Maybe some of us want to enjoy a little bit more television in our lives because we've been out and about so much in the fall and summer months, Big J. Maybe you want to game it up a little bit more in the winter time because it's cold outside and you don't want to brave those elements, you know?
Maybe it's cold outside.
You can't go around and ride your motorcycle out there. Might as well spend it with your Xbox, correct?
You can.
And of course, that means that a lot of us want to improve other aspects of ourselves and are taking the winter months to take advantage of that. Big J, do you think you hibernate in the winter?
Sure.
Is it because lots of people call you a bear?
Yes.
That makes sense.
I like being cozy. So, yeah.
And so, do you find yourself more of an inside person than the winter than in the other months of the year? Or do you feel
I'm
like...
just an inside person.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You just have that particular tendencies no matter what the weather is like outside?
I don't like it hot. I don't mind the cold so much. I don't like it icy and snowy, though. I'm a real baby.
Yeah, you certainly, over the years, I have seen the comfort level of Big J shrink to a very narrow alley of which things can fit in to where he is happy with whatever the weather may be. Used to be that anything below, I would say, 72 degrees made you happy, and now it's got to be, I think, above 65. So you've got that 7-degree kind of like window.
Ridiculous.
You're like, all right, I'm actually happy. Anything outside of that comfort zone, Big J is pissed.
Yeah, what about you? I see you seem to be a hibernating guy.
I am certainly, I like things. I feel like as much as I don't think it did, I think living in Phoenix for all those years thinned out my blood. I used to not mind the cold. Now I hate it. I don't like being cold.
I feel like you fled to the warm state.
I think that's it. Well, I don't think I fled there as much as
you were from Wisconsin.
I was from Wisconsin, and then I realized. But listen, Phoenix can get stupid hot too. But the summer months there aren't exactly enjoyable, and so I found myself in the winter months being much more likely to go outside in Phoenix because it was like 75, 78 degrees. That you can live with. When it's $120, you're like, get me inside where the AC is, please. So it was almost like an opposite thing when I was living in the warm weather kind of climates. But I do know that while I don't mind snow and ice, I don't like it that much. I don't mind shoveling any of that kind of thing. I don't like being really, really cold. I can handle being hot because you can always lose a layer or two. But cold, I'm not happy when it's really, really cold out there. So yeah, I'll set my thermostat probably hotter than you enjoy, Big J. But it's in that Big J comfort level, I'll tell you that. But it is certainly one of those things where it's like, yeah, I like being inside when it's cold outside. Too cold for me.
Yeah.
Looking ahead a bit, the NFL is closely monitoring the wildfire situation that's happening in Southern California right now. That is because the disaster might affect the Rams-Vikings playoff game in Los Angeles on Monday night. The NHL has already been affected. They postponed the Calgary Flames-Kings game that was scheduled for last night at Crypto.com Arena. And we're going to get into the disaster that is the Los Angeles wildfires that are going on right now, which is awful. Really, you see some of the footage, and yes, it is absolutely awful. And, you know, we here in Idaho, no strangers to the world of wildfires. And I have seen...
I would say this isn't even a wildfire. I mean, this is a fire inside a small city, and over 1,000 structures burned. It's crazy.
And then they had another one fire up yesterday in the Hollywood Hills, which leveled a whole nother set of homes. This is the thing. It's in residential areas, which is what makes it maybe not your traditional wildfire, but it is following the characteristics of what a wildfire follows. Sure. And that's because the Santa Ana winds are kicking up a bunch of crazy different things, causing it to be very, very difficult to fight. And of course, you've factored in the fact that you have heard of, familiar with, and seen a lot of the people that this is affecting and affecting closely. It maybe is a bigger deal than a lot of other wildfires are. But of course, again, we deal with this kind of stuff. But you are dealing with tons of big-name celebrities that are losing homes, from Billy Crystal to Paris Hilton to Mandy Moore to Ricky Lake to John Goodman, Anthony Hopkins, Eugene Levy, James Woods, Miles Teller, Adam Brody, Anna Faris, all have lost homes currently to the fires. Many more evacuated, waiting to find out exactly how extensive the damage is as it hit the Pacific Palisades, the Malibu region, and then up in the Hollywood Hills yesterday. So it's a devastating wildfire and has caused a lot of cancellations and postponements in the entertainment world. All the shows that are filming in LA shut things down, from Hacks to NCIS to Jimmy Kimmel Live, Grey's Anatomy, After Midnight. They've also figured out, we've got to figure the Oscars out that are coming up soon too. So a lot of things are being impacted both economically and individually with these particular stories that are coming out of Los Angeles. And we know people that are directly impacted by this fire, from family to coworkers to all sorts of stuff. And it's incredibly sad to see that devastation.
It's not just celebrities losing their homes. Right. And I can sympathize with, to a certain extent with what they're going through. Easier for them to replace those homes and find places to live. Not so easy for a lot of the other people who are going through this. And it's just devastating, man. And it's, so what happens when you have a drought? It's they don't have a fire season now in California. It's just always on fire.
And some firefighters from Idaho have traveled into California to help out with the blazes. So we wish for their safety and certainly appreciate their help, as I'm sure the people affected by these fires do. But I don't know, man. Because maybe celebrities are involved, I happen to see a lot more hot takes on social media about this is not being that big of a deal. But you're right. When you know people like we know that aren't famous that are involved in this stuff, those things don't ring very funny to me. And so it is one of those things where you have to kind of remember there's lots of lives, lots of people, deaths are involved in this particular thing. It's one of those things where you just have to kind of hope that everything works out the best that it can. And the firefighters made some really good work overnight and impact on shutting this thing down, but there's still plenty of work to do, and then they have to rebuild from there. So it truly is devastating to see some of this footage that's coming out of California, for sure. And hopefully everybody we know and those that we don't are safe and secure and can keep as many of the belongings as they possibly can. Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Morning After with Nick and Big J. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to go to hell. It is the X Rocks.
After with Nick and Big J on 100.3 The X Rocks.
To Florida we go for today's We're Going to Hell story, and it's one of those rare occurrences where it pretty much, this story encapsulates all of the state of Florida, which is rare, but something that we need to talk about, and we have talked about in an isolated incident or two before in the world of We're Going to Hell, but something is happening in the state of Florida, and that is there's a bit of a cold front coming in, Big J. We talked about how there was ice storms kind of hitting the Midwest, and then that kind of traveled onto the East Coast. Well, Florida doesn't exactly get ice storms, as it were, but their temperatures certainly can drop. And when a climate like Florida drops below a certain temperature, things get a little bit more catastrophic easier than it does in other places.
Sure.
If it drops below 40 here, we're like, oh, cool, whatever. It's actually a pretty nice winter day.
That's warm.
Yeah. But when it drops below 40 in Florida, that's when problems happen. And there happens to be a cold front over the last 5 days that has made its way into the state that has dropped temperatures into the low 40s and below that, which is causing a bit of an outbreak of things, Big J. And you've been to Florida, but you went to Disney World, right?
Yeah, Orlando.
Yeah. So you kind of hung out there. You haven't seen a lot of other places, but maybe in your travels to Florida, you have picked up that there are a lot of just random lizards kind of running around, right?
Yeah, a lot of random wildlife.
Yes, and iguanas very popular there in Florida. They live up in trees. What happens, Big J, when the temperature drops below 43 to 42 degrees and anything below that, the iguanas get in what's called a dormant, cold-stunned state. And what's happening currently in Florida is they're asking residents to watch the skies as they're walking because...
Waiting for Superman?
Well, close. Look up. It is one of those situations where the iguanas are falling out of the trees there in Florida in an incredible rate and hurting people by landing on their heads because some of these iguanas can get pretty big, Big J. And they essentially freeze up in these trees. They get into a cold, stunned state. They freeze, and then they fall out of the trees where they perch, and they're hitting Florida residents on the head at an incredible rate. And again, we've had a couple of stories here and there where people have been injured from iguanas, but we have reports over the last 5 days of over 14 people heading to the hospital for iguana-related injuries. So it's happening at quite the clip in the state of Florida currently. And if this cold wave should evolve and continue, we're talking about air situations where this could be happening 2-3 weeks at a time. Right now, it's expected to be in the low 50s today in Florida, but it could drop by this weekend again. And there's lots of footage of iguanas on the ground, people thinking that they're dead. They're not dead. That's the other thing. Unless the fall kills them, Big J. These iguanas aren't dead. Their bodies are just shutting down from the cold, and it's going into like hibernation mode almost, but they're not prepared to do so quickly. And then boom. Now, of course, the other threat to this is some of these iguanas contain some bacteria that you don't want to pick up and move around necessarily, especially the wild ones. So you got to be real careful if iguana hits you in the head. Not only could it hurt you, it could also make you kind of sick. So this is a perfect storm of bad things happening in Florida and people getting hurt from iguanas falling on their head and then others getting sick from the bacteria that's involved in them. It's a real mess there thanks to some cold weather, Big J.
Damn.
Big J, you're our weather expert. What do you recommend?
I don't to move. That's what I recommend. Move immediately from that place.
Carry some sort of iguana umbrella around just in case things get
that would
out of control.
I don't even know how that with like a metal umbrella.
Yeah, you're right. Some of these iguanas can be pretty big. I was just thinking like if it hit the umbrella that it would damage that instead of you.
We'll treat this real serious if bearded dragons start falling out of the trees. Okay.
Just avoid walking under a tree, maybe. Find another alternate route.
They have regular trees in Florida, or they're all palm trees?
I don't think they're all palm trees. There's certainly other types of trees in Florida besides that. But I'm not sure where iguanas like to dwell. I don't know if they have a favorite tree. My iguana knowledge is as limited as you think it might be. So there's that to play around with as well. But there's a lot of these things happening in places like Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A lot of inland places are dealing with this kind of stuff, which is why it's rare. Sometimes, yes, the weather will get colder or warmer near the lake and the ocean, and so they have that to deal with. But the inland stuff is where it's getting a little bit fishy. So watch the skies if you're in Florida, and be careful for falling iguanas. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There's your We're Going to Hell story. It is the X. That is Breaking Benjamin. That is Awaken here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J. Big J, I'll tell you the same thing I tell my kids. Stop picking your nose, dude.
Don't pick your nose.
According to a new study, there is a link between nose picking constantly and dementia, Big J, which is interesting. Researchers who were studying mice, of course, found that special bacteria can travel from the nasal cavity to your brain through the olfactory nerve. That's not great, Big J. So if this thing gets to the brain, it can trigger some trouble that starts to look a little bit like Alzheimer's disease. While not certain what the effects will be, if they're the same in humans or not, the researchers were alarmed enough to conduct more studies and pay closer attention to other troubles that might arise from digging for gold up there. And you thought, Big J, the worst thing that could happen was a nosebleed.
No,
sir.
Kidding.
Apparently, there's some sort of link there, which is interesting, or at least they discovered it in mice. Now, again, this is in the early stages of things.
How do mice pick their nose?
Well, they have little mice hands, Big J.
I don't get it.
What do you mean you don't get it? Their hands can reach their nose.
Claw. I've never seen that. Never seen a cat or a dog or any, animal 4 little legs picking their nose.
Well, how close are you looking, to be fair?
Well, I spend a lot of time with cats.
Sure. But, could there be a situation where maybe they're bathing themselves with their paw over their head? And
I'm saying is they don't have opposable fingers and digits. I don't see them jabbing something up there. So
yeah, and also, there are claws involved. So maybe there's some, damage that can be done that's greater with an animal.
You ripped open a brain cell or something. I don't know.
Not sure how deep it gets up there. So more tests need to be done, but it's almost as if if you needed a reason not to pick your nose, I'm not sure if you need another one. I don't think anybody picks their nose because they want to. It's like they have to, right? You got something up there. You got to go to work on it, don't you?
Yeah.
You got to make sure you dislodge something so there's not a cliffhanger situation happening and everybody's like, hey, you got something
Can you
going
imagine
on?
that's the cause of Alzheimer's? Nose picking. That's what it comes down to.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past that it's something like that. Because, listen, that's something a lot of people do.
I'm going to take that with me to Atlanta for the Alzheimer's Association Summit. Be like, listen, I do a morning show.
I'll send
Pretty
you this
important.
link.
We were talking about this thing, and let's stop picking noses.
Hey,
that's the first.
Not only that, but maybe it's some of the funding for the funds that you raised that caused this study to happen, Big J. So maybe you help with the breakthrough. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? That's the idea. All I'm saying is, listen, if you want to make sure you're covering all your bases, keep your fingers out of your nose. Don't go digging for gold up there. Don't go picking your nose. It's not good for you, and it causes nosebleeds and maybe, just maybe, dementia. So be careful. You have been warned. That's what we're here to do, help people, Big J.
Exactly.
Morning After with Nick and Big J. Coming up in a few minutes, some important stuff and your pop culture smackdown. It's the X Rocks.
S. Important stuff.
What's going on in the news today?
The Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Big J, people that listen to this radio show are good people. They deserve some good news, right?
Yeah, God, they do.
If you have had some challenges on your credit report because of medical debt and medical bills dragging your credit score down, there actually is some good news coming your way. The recently announced that medical bills will no longer appear on your credit report. And because of that, the average credit score is expected to rise 20 points as a result. This change could result in about 22,000 additional mortgages being approved yearly. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau decision will remove $49 billion in medical debt from the credit reports of over 15 million Americans. So congratulations. This is something that was put together by the outgoing administration after they decided that, you can't change medical care. So you might as well make sure that somebody can help out with a car or a house and not have to be denied an economic opportunity because you got sick or experienced a medical emergency. So that is kind of good news, I would think. You would disagree.
Yeah, I mean, but it only takes like a car accident for you to be in debt hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, or anything. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying in the blink of an eye, that isn't fair in any way, shape, or form. And with the medical costs and stuff, I mean, this is way overdue.
Yeah,
way overdue.
It's nice to see. Now, listen, that doesn't mean the debt is erased from your justification. You still have to pay that if you want to be even with the services that you have received, but it doesn't appear no longer damage your credit. So that is something that is very interesting and will go into effect here very, very soon. So enjoy that higher credit score if you get it. Mike Tomlin, Big J, is the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he is hoping to snap the team's 8-year streak without a playoff win by making his players a little bit cold. Tomlin moved Wednesday's practice from their team's indoor facility to the stadium, where the players hit the stadium field. The field's temperature was 9 degrees, Big J. That's cold. That is because the Steelers are traveling to Baltimore on Saturday night. There's no sun during that game. It's a night game, so it's going to be cold in Baltimore. It's expected to be like 22 degrees and feel like about 2 degrees on Saturday for that playoff game. So
That's
Mike
cold.
Tomlin is like, we better get used to it because it is going to be freezing on Saturday. So they're trying to prep. Will it help, Big J, in your professional sports opinion?
Yeah, maybe a little.
You think the Steelers are going to knock them off?
I don't know. You never know. I mean, those division rivals. It's those are always tough games, and it's hard to predict sometimes, especially in the playoffs.
They've always said
unlikely.
It's difficult to face a team and win 3 times in a season. We will see if they can pull it off here in the playoffs. Big J, School of Rock is a good movie. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, man. Great cast.
Had a bunch of child actors involved in the filming of that particular movie back in the day when it came out. And isn't it nice to see something good come out of it? 22 years later, a couple of the kid stars from School of Rock, Kaylin Hale and Angelo Massagelli, they're the kids who played Marta and Frankie, ended up getting married over the weekend, 22 years after the movie's release. Several of the former co-stars celebrated their wedding, and it was posted all over social media. So these two kids that met up and then got together again, like re-met at a reunion for the show. I think like Jack Black did I think it was like a 15-year reunion like 7 years ago. They've been dating ever since, and they have finally gotten married. So a couple of stars of School of Rock are now married when they met when they were kids.
Crazy, man.
It is crazy. Also, this is also something that makes me feel very, very old. So there's that as well. Because School of Rock does not seem like it came out 22 years ago.
2003?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I know. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There is your important stuff. We are going to have some Pop Culture Smackdown. It's next on the X Rocks.
Pop Culture Smackdown. Right. On the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Yeah, we got a nice Morning After prize package here for you because we're going to set you up with some tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers happening on the 18th, Saturday, coming up here at the Knitting Factory this month. And then we'll get you qualified for Free Gas Friday. That's happening tomorrow. $200 gas card for you. Absolutely free. You're qualified here thanks to our friends at Walmart and the X. So you don't want to miss out on a bunch of free gas, do you? You can beat me in Pop Culture Smackdown. It could be yours.
All right. 208-287-1003. That's the number you need to call if you want to get in on this action. And then you got to answer some pop culture questions right and hope that Big J fails at answering a pop culture question correctly. It'll happen at some point. When will it happen? I don't know. Only the Shadow knows. Let's see how it comes together.
The Shadow knows.
Hello, the X.
Hi, I want to play.
Wonderful, man. Who's this?
It's Michael.
All right, Michael, you're up first. Michael, what second-generation star was married to Nicolas Cage for a hot minute? Was it Drew Barrymore, Lisa Marie Presley, or Angelina Jolie?
Lisa Marie Presley.
Right. That is correct. Big J, in the Back to the Future movie franchise, what speed did the DeLorean have to reach to activate the flux capacitor?
88 miles an hour.
Right. That is correct. Back to you, sir. Who played the first Tool Time girl on the TV show Home Improvement?
Ooh.
Are you asking me?
I sure am.
What was the question again?
Who played the first Tool Time girl on the TV show Home Improvement?
Pamela Anderson.
Right. Nailed it. Big J, what band had a #1 hit performing the theme song for the TV show Friends?
Oh, the Commodores?
Wrong. No, that's Lionel Richie's band from the 60s. No. Although you kind of, it's like that. It's the Somethings, but not the Commodores. Any other guesses? Think artists. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, no. That was my best shot.
Nothing? Okay. You win no matter what, sir. Do you happen to know the answer? Who sang the theme song for the TV show Friends had a #1 hit?
Stone Temple Pilots.
No, not Stone Temple Pilots. But it's all right. You still win.
I'll be there for you.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers tickets, and you are qualified for Free Gas Friday. Hang on. We'll get some information from you. The answer was the Rembrandts.
Okay.
The Rembrandts. Morning After.
The Commodores,
with
the
Nick
Rembrandt. I mean, it's close.
and Big J. That's what I said.
Thank you.
We have got some headlines. They're on the way next on the X Rocks. Those Big J. Witness me. Mistakes were made, and you could do that?
Mistakes were made.
The UK Labour Party has had to apologize, Big J, because they posted an AI-generated video on TikTok, and it featured a song with very inappropriate lyrics. The track was called the Montejim Chorale, and it features Portuguese lyrics that, when translated into English, reference punching a woman in her private parts, Big J.
Huh.
And that is not what the UK Labour Party wants to, connect themselves to. So the post was an adaptation of a viral social media trend and contains a mix of two music tracks. They acknowledge that the translation of the lyrics is completely inappropriate. The video has since been deleted. You think you'd have somebody on that in the world of social media, right?
Well, it sounds like they did. They just didn't understand the intricacies.
Before you post it. Somebody that should vet that stuff if you are supposed to be of dramatic leadership above and beyond, I suppose. One would think that kind of mistake shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But listen, you get caught up in TikTok trends, Big J. You know before you know it. That's why you're on TikTok yourself to find out these cool things.
No.
But you don't post any videos. You're just a lurker. Witness me, or you can do that?
Witness me!
A Maryland driver was rudely cut off by another motorist, but instead of getting angry and turning it into a real road rage incident, they turned it into something else. $500,000, Big J. According to the Maryland Lottery, the driver was on the highway when another driver cut off in front of him. He said he took a mental note of the other driver's license plate and then remembered the numbers. So he went to the liquor store, purchased 10 Take 5 lottery tickets with those exact numbers, and then the numbers came up. Each ticket was worth $50,000, bringing his total haul from the 10 tickets to $500,000. Maybe he should thank the other driver and toss him a couple of bucks, but I doubt that's going to happen. This continues a trend of winning lottery people playing the same numbers over and over and over again.
Crazy to me. It's crazy.
I don't understand.
Like, why do you do that?
But then they win, and one win becomes 10 wins, and I guess it all makes sense.
That seems highly suspicious to me.
But it's very strange that people do that. And maybe it's more common than we think. If you listen to this show,
it has to be,
and you buy lottery tickets, it's not. I'm not talking about playing the same numbers every week. I'm talking about buying
same numbers multiple times in the same draw.
Yeah.
And so the last time we had this, it was a gentleman who won a jackpot twice
and had to split it with himself.
And we were questioning it and mocking the dude, and then afterwards you read into it more, and you're like, oh, his wife just passed away, and he does it in her honor.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's so sweet. This particular case, I'm like, okay, what happened? You had 9, family members that died?
No, he got cut off by a license plate.
That's one time.
Yes.
It's the other 9 times.
I don't know why you would buy 10 tickets of the same number. It feels like, I guess in case it wins like this is your logic, but do more people do that than we think?
Well, this was a scratcher or some sort of...
It was called a pick 5, or a take 5 lottery ticket.
Still, I mean, you're really banking on those numbers.
Yes, agreed. It seems silly to me, but I don't know. Let us know.
Ultimately, he's the victor.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's $500,000 richer than I am. Wrap it up with you can do that? There's a little town in Italy, Big J, called Bellicastro, and it has issued a ban on any kind of illness or injury within the city limits. Mayor Antonio Torchia has ordered locals to avoid contracting any illness and not to leave the house too often to travel or to practice sports. The ban, which is obviously impractical, serves to call awareness to the fact that residents don't have any easy access to emergency care. They're 30 minutes away from the nearest ER or hospital, and many of their residents are elderly. There's 1,200 people that live in this city, and they think the ordinance is more of a cry for help and a way to shine a spotlight on an unacceptable situation. Since announcing the ban, the town has received attention from local health authorities, and they're talking about giving them funding to build a hospital there within city limits. So even though it sounds goofy, this ban may have actually helped out the town. So there's that. So how about a hip hip hooray for Mayor Torchia, Big J?
Hip hip hooray!
Thank you. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There is your headlines. You're up to date on everything. It is the X-Rock. That is Sponge. That is Plowed here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J. And because Big J and I are both at our peak when it comes to athletic toning, you tune in for exercise news, and Big J's got the latest.
No, Nick, that's exactly why this is relevant to us, because of the bad shape that we're in. As it is 2025, it's a new way of doing things, and some of the big stars are doing this. Tom Holland is, and just to name a few, Kylie Jenner, Chrissy Teigen, a bunch of celebrities have jumped onto this new fitness craze called EMS, Nick. Stands for Electrical Muscle Stimulation.
Great.
You ever been to do some physical rehab?
Yes.
This is going back a few years, but on occasion I would get a TENS thing hooked up to you, and it would stimulate your muscles, right?
Right.
That's pretty much what this is, and there is this deal that they do. It's pretty much like a little bodysuit that you put on, and you do minimal resistance work. So I'm talking, you don't even lift weights. You use this thing, it stimulates your muscles electronically as you're doing, like, say, wall squats, or bicep, when you're doing like curls, but not using a lot of weight. You're just doing like this, like with your hand, and it is having extreme benefits to being able to contract those muscles without having to do the actual workout. for the most part. In fact, you can take an average weightlifting session of an hour and crunch it down into 10 to 20 minutes, Nick, using this. And it can be very, very effective. The one caveat here, a little expensive. Some sessions here can cost you as much as $200. But, to some people, time is money, and that could save them big time. But also, you got to look out for the soreness afterwards, because a reporter was talking about this. He went and tried this, and it was very effective. But in about 12 hours later, he could barely walk because of what he had been putting his body through. But I like the idea of this. I would be down to do this.
Is it just a timing thing for you? Because, you're clearly working out just as hard. It's just not as long.
No, you're not working out as hard at all.
Well, it feels like you are. If you can't walk the next day, you're certainly working some muscle.
But you're having to do way less. This is perfect.
All right. I feel like this is nothing new. Electrical muscle stimulation feels like it's been around since the 80s.
In some factors, in some ways, but not in this compact form that they have made it available. And being able to put it using it directly on muscle groups.
Now, does it hurt when they hook it up and it's happening?
Allegedly no.
Okay, all right.
I haven't tried it.
Right, because again, if you've gone through the physical therapy and you've had some of that stuff hooked up, you can definitely feel it.
It's not the same thing. It's a little different.
It has to be. I get it. But if it's that intense, there has to be some sort of feeling. It can't just be like, oh, whatever, man.
Some of the other benefits here, though, if we be real honest about it for a second, is it delivers intense stimulus to those muscles without risk of injury, because you're at a much lower intensity level of working out, so you're doing a lot less to be able to put yourself in risk. That's a huge bonus as well, aside from just the time amount that you're putting into it. So I'd be down to try this out.
Sounds expensive, though. I'm glad you make Big J money, because you're going to need it if you're going to do this on a regular basis for sure. But hey,
I don't even know if it's available here in the Valley somewhere. I'm sure somebody's doing it, but
I bet you bodybuilding.com's got something to hook up with.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Morning After with Nick and Big J. Coming up in a few minutes, we got an opportunity for you to win something with us with Bad Impressions. That's next on the X Rocks.
You can now press
on the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
And a great Morning After prize package here this morning for Bad Impressions. We got tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers happening January 18th. That's a Saturday, friends, at the Knitting Factory. So that'll be fun. We'll definitely hook you up with those. But you're also going to get qualified for a $200 gas card from our friends at Walmart for Free Gas Friday, which is starting tomorrow. We'll get you qualified here, brought to you by Walmart and the X. So you just got to figure out the clues here today. Not a person, a company, Nick. A company.
Well, corporations are people. 208-287-1003 is the number you need to call if you'd like to play this game. Big J will give you 3 clues to point you in the direction of that company. If you can figure out the company he is trying to impersonate in 3 clues or less, you were going to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You are going to get qualified for Free Gas Friday. It sounds like a pretty good way to have a Thursday. Hello, the X.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, man? What's your name?
Chris.
All right, Chris, you're up first. Good luck, man.
Remember, this is a company now, not a person, okay?
Okay.
We started out humbly with Steamboat Willie. Now look at us.
I think I know what it is, but give me another one.
We have theme parks in California, Florida, France, Japan, and Hong Kong.
It's Disney.
Disney is right.
Yes, bow down to our overlords, Chris. Hang on 1 second. We will hook you up with that prize as well as get you qualified for Free Gas Friday tomorrow. Somebody's going to win $200 in free gas from us and Walmart. Big J, what was clue 3 for fun?
We bought the rights to Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All just for $8 billion.
And why is Disney in the news?
We talked a little bit about this earlier in the week here, Nick, that Disney has acquired Fubo, another streaming service, and that's all good and well. And we talked about how people are watching more ad-supported tiers of entertainment from these companies like Disney, Hulu, and of course all the other ones. But Disney said they dropped this nugget here that it has an estimated 157 million global monthly active users watching those ad-supported content across its streaming platforms already. That is a lot. Now, 112 million of those are domestic average per month watchers. That's a crazy amount of people taking in content on Disney Plus.
Well, now, is that Disney Plus or is that Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN, which is all part of the same thing?
All of the same thing, but it's all in one place. I mean, you just go to Disney Plus and they have them all there now.
If you subscribe that way, if you bundle it, not necessarily if you don't have it all there. But
that is just an insane amount, and of course we don't forget to see the lowdown on this stuff unless they want us to. But I don't think this is something that your regular everyday broadcast channels could have ever fathomed. That many people watching at any given time. That's crazy.
No, and again, this is why the numbers and the prices keep going up. You know what I mean? Because those numbers keep growing instead of going the other way.
Well, here's what they would prefer. So Disney and a lot of these folks, they would prefer you to take up the offer of doing the ad-supported platform because that makes them more money.
Correct.
Actually. And so that's why they're increasing, and this is what has come out in this latest article here, that's one of the reasons why they raise the prices on those ad-free supported tiers so that people will be pushed to those so you get sucked into the commercial world again.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all to make them more money. Either they get more money out of you for not paying for ads, or you jump down a tier and they make even more money by you watching the commercials that they sell. It is, at the end of the day, all about them making money. That should not surprise anybody, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Morning After with Nick.
All hail Disney.
And Big J. Yeah, we won't say anything bad about them because eventually they'll own all of us. We have got to wrap up the show. We will do so next on the X Rock After with Nick and Big J on this Thursday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got a nice little nerd alert courtesy of Big J. We ended up giving away some tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, as well as getting people qualified for Free Gas Friday, which we will give away our first $200 in free gas tomorrow, courtesy of Walmart and the X. A great reason for you to tune in. But that leaves you with the floor, Big J.
Yeah, happy birthday to JK Simmons. How old do you think JK is, dude?
Is he 70? I'm going to say 70.
He is 70 years old.
Hey, happy birthday, JK. Former guest of the Morning After, by the way. Big
Yeah.
And, of course, what's the next thing we have to look forward to with him? We saw Red One. What's next?
Yeah, that's a great question. What is Red? He is appearing in several episodes of Die Hard.
Nice. You still watching that show?
I haven't checked out the last couple seasons, no.
All right, so
just that first one.
No longer Big J approved.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not approved, but I'm sure he's working on something. Hopefully, working out still. Oh, he's got 10 upcoming. Let me look. Oh, yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff happening. Of course, he'll be coming up with another season of Invincible. So.
Oh God, that show's so good. You don't watch that either, do you?
I don't. I'm familiar with it though, and I know it's pretty dang funny. He looks just like with the gray hairs on the side, of the way that character looks.
Yeah,
it looks just like Jason Kelsey right now. It's just a natural look. The gray temple hair is the thing that just stands out.
Well, work on that, Big J.
You're right. I think I will.
Next set of X Rock.
Grow some gray hair right now.
Brought to you by our friends at. You don't have to work on that. You got plenty of that. You just got to localize it and make sure it's in one particular
localize.
part. We got to make sure we say thank you to T-Mazda. They are presenting your next set of X Rock. Of course, if you're looking for a new vehicle, check out T-Mazda in the pre-owned superstore. Go to gotmazda.com. The pre-check button is there. You can check out what you're pre-qualified for before you step foot on the lot. We will see you guys tomorrow. Jason Drew's up next. Have a good one. It's the X Rock.